We're back with another one, and this is the Printy GO 3D printer by SaneSmart. And for those of you who don't know who I am, I've been 3D printing for just over 10 years now, and I've been really curious in checking this 3D printer out for a while now. And a huge thank you to SaneSmart for sending this over to me to review. Now, they are not sponsoring this video, so all of the opinions in this video are my own. And with that being said, I've had a chance to test this printer for about 2 weeks now. So if you're here for more of the technical side of the review and really what it is like owning a Printy GO 3D printer as not a kid, go ahead and skip to this point in the video. But for the first part, let's take a closer look at what it's like to actually use this and some of the prints that I've managed to get off of this. So something to mention as well is that the packaging on the Printy GO is absolutely fantastic. It's very kid-friendly, it's very fun and childlike, as well as you've got all of the information you would want to know about the printer on there. The printer itself is a beautiful design. It's very fun, it's very slim and chic. It would absolutely fit in an office space or like a kid's craft room or something. Everything that's included with the printer is very standard. I love their user guide. It was very simple to read and very easy to understand. You get a classic glue stick, especially with this printer not having heated bed. That's a must, not a recommendation. You get some tweezers for pulling the filament from the extruder after it purges. And then this is for installing the filament feeder on the back as well as leveling the bed. And you get a handy dandy sheet explaining how to level the bed. Coming in at a retail price of $300 US, who is this printer really for? The build quality doesn't say $300. Not having a heated bed doesn't say $300. The only parts of this that really do say $300 are the packaging, the user interface, as well as the screen and the kid-friendly likeness of the printer itself. A price like that in a package this size really makes you wonder if this printer is up to snuff in the great 2026. Aside from the look of the machine, the ease of use is not all there. The print quality is not up to snuff at all with competitors priced under or even at the same price as this printer. There's a lot left to be desired with this printer, and if you compare the print quality of the included print profiles on the Vinci boat that they have called the long boat with this long smokestack, there's noticeable bubbling as well as banding around the surfaces of this print, and the Z-axis wobbles quite a bit when printing. Taking a look at another print from the stock profile, you can see this horse. You can clearly see that flow and cooling is an issue with this printer. And I went ahead and I threw on this Jabba of the Hutt just to go ahead and test my theory some more. And you can see some obvious under extrusion this time around his neck and his torso area, which is just surprising. So I would say the results are inconsistent to say the least with the stock profile. But if you compare that to the profile I created for the Printy GO, where I fine-tuned the settings in Cura, you can see that I was able to resolve pretty much all of the under extrusion and over extrusion. There's very few VFAs, if any, on this model, and pretty much all of the Z-axis wobble was fixed. Now, actually getting a print started on this machine is not as simple as it sounds. And the first step is everyone's favorite step, leveling the bed. They include a great little guide here, but I'm going to skip this and give you the short of the long, because once you've done this 100 times, it's pretty simple. Though for the first time, it takes a little bit of getting used to. So I've got the printer off here so it's easier to demonstrate, and I'll bring the printer just a little bit closer for you to see. But you can move the head back and forth, and you can move this back and forth. So you're basically just going to take the head and the bed at the same time, put this piece of paper under it, move it to every corner and move it back and forth. And if you feel a little bit of friction but not too much friction, you know that you're in that sweet spot. If it's completely loose and there's no friction between the bed, the paper, and the head, then you know that the bed and the head are too far apart. But if you go ahead and tighten the screws, which are these little nubs right down here at the bottom, just so you can see these little nubs spin right here. Lefty-loosey, righty-tighty. In this case, tight is going to bring the bed down, which means farther away from the head. Loose means the bed is going to go up closer to the head. So to tighten it, just to get this closer to the head, we're going to go ahead and loosen these quite a bit. And you'll just move this back, and you want to go ahead and do all four corners. And you do that just by pushing the bed back, go into a corner, pushing the piece of paper under it, testing that, and repeating for all four corners. So pretty simple. Definitely read the guide. This was very useful for this printer and for beginners and for my little cousin. Then you got to load the filament, and that all happens back here, but I'll spin it around back again and we're gonna go back to the other room. Spin the printer around the back side. We'll actually go this way because of the power cable. And you'll see the included filament holder right here. Just a cute little guy, and it slides on and off with ease. And they do have a nice included model of a filament spool holder for a 1 kilogram spool of filament. The screw threads actually very nicely. The filament kind of warped right here. Granted, this is just PLA, but there's no heated bed, so some warping even with glue will be a problem, but this is not a functional print. This is not a display print, so I'm not going to complain at all whatsoever. For now, though, I will show you with the included holder and this right here. It's pretty simple. SainSmart is kind enough to include a small 250 gram roll of their white PLA basic filament. I've actually printed a tiny test print on this, and it appears to print very nicely, so I actually really like their filament. And for a printer this size, 250 grams is not that bad at all. In the setup guide, it says to cut the filament at a 45-degree angle. It does not specify which side to cut it on. I've just been cutting it like this. So it's at a 45-degree like that. Then you go ahead and push it right into the hole directly below this PTFE tube. And it might take some wiggling. In my experience, I found it catches pretty much every time. So we'll cut to once I get past the catch. You do have to manually feed it. This is typical for most printers like this. Not really complaining too much. Once it stops and you feel it kind of click into place, you know you've reached the extruder, and you should hopefully see it start to pull. If it doesn't, go ahead, flip the printer back around, see if you took too long, which in my case I did, so we're gonna click retry. So it's gonna heat the extruder, and we'll cut to once that starts to load. All right, now that the extruder has preheated, I'm going to go ahead and see if I can catch a closer look at this, and we'll see if we can see the filament coming out right there. If it's not, let me go ahead and reach around the back and push that filament in. You'll probably need to do this as well, just make sure that the extruder grabs it. But as we can see there, it does grab it. Once you've got the filament unloaded, just go around to the side here and pull out the included little filament tray, and sometimes it gets caught on the print head itself. And yes, I've got spray paint on my hands. Sorry about that. But pretty simple there. Slide it back in. You're good to go. Once you're on the home screen, all you do is click Go, Start Printing, and you'll be met with plenty of models. Now, there's a few things to get into here real quick, but I wanted to highlight something. Secret printing. This is kind of a translation thing. Really, that means randomized printing. It will choose a random model from others and just start printing. So if you ever just want to surprise your kid, or your kid is kind of bored and just wants to be surprised, click Secret Printing and you'll get a random model. But we'll go ahead and click Start Printing for now. This is the main home screen. These are pages 1 through 7 of the included models that are included on the built-in storage of the 3D printer. Now, it has a search function, as you can see, that I had mistakenly pulled up here, but it doesn't seem to function whatsoever. I would say that their software needs some work, or I just happened to receive a glitchy model, and I will be reaching out to SainSmart with some of my complaints on this and see if they are truly just my model, or if this is just something they need to work on all above, because I've never been able to connect to the internet, and that is what this button is. That is for the online models. Network unavailable. And if we go here, not once has a single network even shown up here. I've restarted the printer, I've troubleshooted it online, and to no avail. I have received absolutely zero solid results on getting the network to work. But funny enough, I have had some interesting things happen. When switching from home to network, sometimes a list of categories show up here. And I was able to find a category called Creative. And there was a whole list of things. There was probably 100 models that just showed up randomly here. Granted, I've never connected to the internet on this printer. And that keyboard is very touchy. You'll see, as it says on the screen, the device is being tested. It's going to make quite a bit of noise. And that's another thing I have to tell you. This is the loudest 3D printer I own. And as I mentioned earlier, I own an Elegoo Centauri Carbon, as well as a Bamboo Lab P1S. And I've never owned a printer this loud. Now, as I mentioned earlier, it has a kids mode automatically enabled from the get-go. Now, to remove kids mode and enable printing while the doors open, among other features, That is on, I believe you'll find that in the setup guide. The code is by default very simple, and I'm not sure if it varies per printer, so I'm not going to say it here in the video, but you will find it in the setup guide. To demonstrate that though, you can see once the printing has kind of gotten going, it does go ahead and quiet down. But if you open it up, beep, 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 and you'll see a warning message appear on the screen right here. Warning you, dear user, the nozzle will move rapidly and be at a high temperature during the printing process, and the print will go ahead and stop. The printer's nozzle will stay warm so that upon closing of the door, the print will automatically resume. Now, that is actually a very handy feature, and they do say that the power outage feature, where the print resumes after a power outage, is functional, but for me, that was just not the case. When I shut off the printer in the middle of printing, it did not resume. It simply opened back up to the middle of the home screen. And you can see after resuming, there is some stuck filament on the print itself because of what I said before, where the nozzle wiper is not actually touching the nozzle anytime it wipes. But you can see that the results of the bed leveling were successful and that the print successfully stuck to the bed. And I gotta give props to SainSmart. I love the inclusion of this nice and large built-in touchscreen. It does appear to be a capacitive touchscreen, so that is nice. The response is pretty slow, but I would say that's an operating system problem and not necessarily a screen problem. I've had a couple weeks to go ahead and test this printer, and frankly, for the people watching at SainSmart, I'm sorry it's taking me this long to get this video out. There was a lot to work through with this, as well as some other things in my personal life. But for this printer itself, I wouldn't describe this as an easy setup, easy go printer. Now, it's a lot of fun, and the packaging was beautiful. If I was a kid seeing this, and my little cousin loved it, the packaging is very kid-friendly, very beautiful. I would say that this whole printer has an overall great presentation. And frankly, after tuning it and messing with the included profile for Cura, I've managed to get some really great results off of it. That being said, this is a 100 by 100 by 90 millimeter advertised build volume, but frankly, the quality gets pretty poor once you start to max that out. And you'll see some warping as well due to just the not having a heated bed. It does run Clipper, supposedly. I wasn't able to get an answer on whether or not it was a locked down version of Clipper. It appears to be a locked down version of Clipper. I'm not very much so on the back end coding side of machines, but from what I've been able to tell, it is running its own version. And this being a Clipper machine means that it's advertised as being a high-speed machine. Based on the stock profile, it does appear to go at about 150 millimeters per second at its fastest. Now, I've managed to create a few different profiles for this machine, and I have actually gotten this thing to print at up to, I believe it was 360. Obviously, the quality is not going to be very great. Teach my cousin to use is basically a hard prep course on 3D printing 101. Let's take a quick break and collect our thoughts on this Printy GO 3D printer and where it stands in the market of 3D printers in the great year of 2026. Because frankly, there's a lot to say about this printer, and it being a printer for kids is not one. Now, these aren't my final thoughts. We'll save that for the last segment of this video. But for $300, with the amount of setup that you have to do for this printer, I would not consider this a kid-friendly printer. I mean, it took me quite a while to actually get this thing set up and printing successfully out of the box. I would say about 2 hours. But if you compare that to something like my Elegoo Centauri Carbon, which I believe is still on sale for $275, I want to say, whereas this one retails for $300, I mean, the comparison is really hard to justify this printer, because that Elegoo Centauri Carbon, I was up and printing in about 15 minutes, and the print quality is much better than this Printy GO's ever will be on a stock profile. Don't even get me started on what you can do with the Elegoo once you've tuned it. And if you're not a big Core XY fan or a big enclosed printer fan and you want something even tinier, talk about a Bamboo Lab A1 or the Anycubic Cobra X, all priced under $300. And frankly, This printer just stands out as something that feels like it uses 10-year-old technology, and they're trying to sell it in 2026 and market it towards children. Now, that being said, if I was to try and get somebody to buy this printer, I would tell them, hey, you got to know about 3D printing first. So that automatically puts it out for kids. But if a parent wants to buy this for their children, or if you find it on sale or secondhand even for a really good price, and you set it up at first, I think that your kids would absolutely have a ton of fun printing on this machine. But you have to teach them, and you have to know a decent bit about 3D printing in order to get successful quality prints consistently on this machine. And I want to confirm that theory, so I've gone ahead and done all the hard work as you've seen already. And we're gonna have my little cousin come in and give that a test. So let's get back to it and see what my little cousin thinks. And to test that theory, I brought in my little cousin. Say what's up, little dude.
What's up?
All right, take it away, man.
So first we're gonna take out this filament that's right here. So first we'll go to filament setup, and then we'll press returning. And we'll wait for it while it's preheating. Now that it's preheated, we're gonna wait until we hear the motor start, and then we can pull the filament out. So now that I want to use gold, which is a bigger roll, I'm going to use this attachment that goes on the back of the printer to hold bigger rolls like this gold one. Now that we finished unloading, we're gonna make sure that the new color is in the tube. Then we're gonna press feeding on the screen. After we finish putting in the new color, we're gonna start a print. I found this crown on it that I liked, so we're gonna print that. First, we're gonna go to the internet button and go to the creativity tab. Then we're gonna press figurine. And then we're gonna press the button. Before we start, we're gonna put glue on the bed. You wanna kinda do it in the middle because that's where the print is mainly gonna be. After we close the door, we're gonna press print. Gonna do its test, and then it'll start printing.
Perfect.
Now that the print is done, we're going to take the tray and pop it off.
And then you can pull it off now.
Just like this. And
Alright.
This is the finished print.
What do you think?
I think it's a pretty good print. I like the color of it. The only thing is that this thing broke off, but it's a fragile thing. So I think it's pretty good.
All right. Well, thank you, buddy. I appreciate you. Let's get back to it. And with that, guys, I hope you appreciate my honesty on this. I really do like the 3D printer, but at the same time, it's got too many kinks that it's not a printer I find myself using very often. Maybe it's something I will teach my cousin to use. It's basically a hard prep course on 3D printing 101. So thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it if you've stuck to the end. If you have stuck to So thank you guys for watching. If you have stuck this far into the video, please hit subscribe and like, and definitely comment and let me know what you want to see next. I've got some more printer reviews coming up, as well as tons of Wasteland Bricks stuff. I've just had a lot going on behind the scenes that's taking up a majority of my time, so it's been hard to get some more content out. Please follow my Instagram to stay posted for the latest news. I'm on there every single day posting about Wasteland Bricks, as well as some of my Star Wars stuff and some other fun things. So that's in the description below, as well as my bio. And with that, I'm out.